Hi, and welcome to The Guardian Way. Today's episode is episode 42. This takes into consideration private security solutions any new business owner might want to consider having as they start up their business and as they create their business plan for operating. The co producer for this entire series, of course, is the CEO and founder of Guardian Protection Force, Garrett Thomas. Good morning, Garrett.
Good morning. Yeah, this is one that we find a lot. Some companies will start up and they're booming and they have a whole bunch of employees, and then they start finding security issues, and then it becomes an afterthought. Oh, I have security issues now. What do I do? And at that time, it's a little late. You've had some issues, so I really want to encourage people to think about this beforehand.
Well, this is great. And you put together some really, really great ideas of areas where, again, like a new business should just concentrate some effort and some thought on because these things can all, as you say, either end up, if not addressed properly, end up costing your company business, costing your company money, and, not putting you in the best positive situation to succeed. So, with that, I'm going to just turn this over to you and let you kind of walk our audience today through these points.
So the first consideration is physical security guards. This is something that you can use for your entrances, your exits, to check on key perimeters and key points to deter things like theft and vandalism or unauthorized access. Mobile patrol services is something to consider, especially when you don't have a budget for physical security guards. So this is a lot cheaper of an option. It's not the best for certain situations. If you think that you have a consistent access control issue, something like that, then your mobile patrol service may not work for that. But this works great for a lot of clients who have a lower level of security needs, such as commercial centers, shopping centers, things like this, where they just don't need a full-time person there all the time, but they have to have eyes on that property and they need to know what's going on there. So this is something to consider, especially if you haven't created a budget yet for your physical security guards. Alarm responses. Security companies can offer rapid responses to alarms. We know that a lot of police departments are not responding to them at all, or they're only responding to certain ones, such as alarms that have actually verified that there is an intruder, right? So that they can actually verify, they can see on camera that there is an intruder there. A lot of police departments are going to that, where they will only respond if it's verified. So as they respond to less and less, and depending upon what city you're in and what the response is like, you should really consider alarm responses for those situations. Access control systems. There's many different electronic access control systems available, biometric key card readers, things like this. Really need to consider this, who comes onto your property and how that's happening. So a lot of times new companies start up and they have no access control. So they really have no clue who's coming on and when they're coming on. This is something that has to be buttoned up right away. Video surveillance systems. We've talked about it before. The technology is getting better and better. It's getting cheaper to get the better quality. There's many different systems that you should consider. And of course, security consultation and risk assessment. I believe this should be the basis of where you start. This should be where everybody considers their security needs. Have somebody, a security professional, look at your facility and look at your business operations and see where your vulnerabilities are, explain where those vulnerabilities are, and what you can do to mitigate those issues.
Well, that one right there is to me in this whole series. That's really the real key home run issue. I
Mhm.
mean, I think that you and I have talked so many times about the fact that you've got clients that have come to you and just said, "Hey, what am I going to need?
Mhm.
Profile my business for me." And I think that, again, you've hit this, and I think it's something that should really, really sit as a real point of action for a lot of businesses. So I do think, again, that's a great point, and of course, Guardian Protection Force provides that on a no fee basis.
Yeah, executive protection services for businesses dealing with high profile individuals. And sometimes that is the case for a new startup. You have a high profile person in a company and it's a new startup and you don't have security measures in place. Then you really need to consider executive protection services. Cybersecurity services, as digital threats become increasingly prevalent, you need to consider this. Event security. So if you have gatherings, you're going to hotel events or whatever it may be, uh, consider event security. Security training programs. Of course, your training is very important. How are your employees trained on security measures? Even if they don't have a security related function, they more than likely come across security related issues. So, are they employed or are they trained to recognize those issues and how to respond to that?
Right.
And what can we do for you? As we always say, use the no fee assessment, the first initial business assessment. That is the basis to understand what issues you have and what you can do about it. Develop implementation of workplace violence prevention programs, active shooter trainings, contentious termination security services. Of course, if you have a termination you believe might be a little bit contentious, this is something we specialize in and you should really consider it. Site facility security guards and patrol services, and ongoing business security audits and employee training on security.
Well, this is just a great amount of information that I'm sure is going to be very valuable. And it's also not bad information for companies that already have an existing business going as a refresher. But for new businesses, this should be definitely part of it. And you kicked on one point earlier in the podcast, and I wanted to kind of revisit that. And that was the fact that law enforcement response time is changing. We all
Yeah,
know that, right? And
assuming they will respond.
yeah, and that's what I wanted you to just speak just a minute more about what your experience has been around that with your clients in terms of there's an increased demand because there is less of a police presence and availability for service, correct?
Absolutely. So a lot of clients have been very frustrated because they've relied on police departments to respond in the past. They've been able to just call law enforcement and say, "Hey, I have this issue going on," and people would actually come and check it out and deal with it. Those times are really gone. I don't know of any police department that's able to do that. They are really stretched thin, and some police departments have even announced they're not responding at all to alarm services. So it's really incumbent upon the business to look at these factors and figure out their own response for these issues.
Well, great, Garrett. As we close this up today, I'm going to give you the sign off on this thing. But please tell our audience again, what's the best way for them to connect up with you if they've got any questions on this whole issue of security for their business?
Well, we're easy to get a hold of. You can go to our website directly. You can call us, or you can fill out our inquiry on our online form there. We'll give you a call back and get you set up. Don't hesitate to call us.
That's great. Well, again, to our audience, thanks for listening today. And Garrett, you sign us off this morning.
Have a good one. Stay safe and see you next time.